In this episode, I'm going to look at an Onkyo TX-SR705. This is a THX Dolby Digital receiver, 7.1 channel. This one was given to me because the HDMI port is kind of buggered up on it. Will I be able to fix it? I guess you'll have to wait and see. Okay, I've got an HDMI problem on my receiver here. If I just so much as touch the HDMI cable, the picture cuts out. So all I'm doing is just so we have a bad HDMI connection on the HDMI board on this Onkyo receiver. This one's a TX-SR705 THX receiver by Onkyo. This one's mine. This one was given to me a while back and I've been kind of just sitting on it doing nothing. And I think today we'll finally get into it and see if I can get the HDMI board repaired. Top off the unit. Reveals the HDMI board here on the top. Do you think that's where the problem might be, right there? Right on these pins? I think that might be the problem. In order to work on this board, I'm going to actually pull the actual board out of the unit itself, and that way I can get a little closer look at the connectors and see whether I can reflow those. They're going to be very difficult, I think, to do. Something like this, I'll use my finest iron and put some flux on there. The problem with putting flux, though, you got to remember the flux gets on everything, and you get flux down in here and it'll actually get onto the pins themselves, and that can destroy your HDMI cable. So you gotta be careful with it whenever working with flux on HDMI connectors. At least I found that they can be kind of tricky to work with. And I don't know whether this board unplugs. It should unplug. This HDMI board should unplug from the main board. Let's get the HDMI board out, and I can examine it a little closer. So first, I'll remove power, disconnect the cables. Got an antenna cable on here just because I was testing the radio on it to verify that it works. And then I found the problem was actually the HDMI that wasn't working. First things first, undo the screws that hold the HDMI connectors in place. Part of the problem that happens with a lot of these receivers is people have them stuffed into cabinets. You can see all the scratches on here from reaching around the back trying to jam HDMI connectors in because they can't see them. This happens actually quite often with these type of receivers. So I'll remove the screws. This screwdriver needs to be magnetized again. It's lost its magnetization. That's what this thing's for. Now, remove all the screws. If I can get this thing working, I may put this one into my home theater closet. Push down, and these should, I think these are release. I think it's a plug on this one. It's either a ziff or a push down to release. See if it pulls up. Some of these pull, and some of them you push down to release it. This was a push down, I think. plug-in does like that. I hate these type of connectors. I really do. Unplug that one. Unplug this one. And now the board should, I'm going to unplug it from here as well. Oh, there's more screws. There's a screw that holds it into this other board. Yeah. There we go. Look at that. That board's loaded with caps too. The type that like to leak. Wonderful. Anyway, it's the HDMI connector that we're concerned about. So let's set up and try and fix that connector. So this time I'm going to use the digital microscope here just so that I can get a good close-up of these connections on this connector here. We'll focus the microscope in. That way I can get a good look and see if which ones, if any, are broken. Oh, I know there's some that are broken because I could see it when I wiggled it first of all. But the picture was cutting it out. But this way I can actually go through with my little pick and I can see if they move. See that one there's broken? You can see it. See? That one's broken. Because it may only be one or two that are actually causing the problem. That one's broken too, as are those two. So there's the ones on either side that are broken. These three, the other ones here look to be okay. But those ones definitely are bad. What about some of the other connectors on here? Let's just check them all while I'm at it. See, those ones are okay. Next one down. That one's okay. And the last one. So the problem is just this one connector down here. Now, some might say, well, just resolder all of them. But you know what? The saying in the business is, if it ain't broke, don't fuck with it, or don't fix it. There's four that are bad. These three, and this one down here. I'm going to clean this up. I'll clean this up with some alcohol first of all. We'll put some flux on there and see if I can reflow those connections. Again, using the microscope because they're just really, really fine. Very difficult to see without magnification. I'm going to be using 6337 solder on this one. You can see here. SN63 PB37. So this is 37% Kester solder. So I'll let you guys watch in from the monitor here. I'd like to record it on the microscope, but I don't have an SD card for it. So this is going to have to do. You get some rosin. We're going to put an ever so little amount of rosin down here on the pins that need to be taken care of. The problem with putting rosin on is that it wicks itself up into the connector itself, and then when you plug an HDMI cable into the connector, you can damage the connector. It gums it up. But we have to put rosin on there, otherwise the solder is not going to really stick. So now it's time to get in here with the iron and try to redo those connections that are bad, which are from down here. Let's see if I can do this. I've got a lot of room in here, and I'm actually looking at the microscope display to see what I'm doing. And the other one was this one over here. Let's see whether I got them. See if they're still loose. That one, I got that one. You see if these are all tight now. See if any of them move. By George, I think I got them all. Definitely got the ones that were bad, that's for sure. The other ones don't look to be in too rough a shape. Maybe this one over here might look like it's starting to. Maybe not. Yeah, I think we're good. I think it's good. Oops. That's why you don't want to get in here unless you absolutely have to. Because you run the risk that you're going to create bridges. And create more additional problems that you don't need. So I don't want to do any more on here than I absolutely have to. check the check the ground connections where the connector is grounded to the edge of the board. See if they look okay. Focus. Yeah, the ground there looks like it could be, looks like it could use a little reheating, doesn't it? That one right there. You see? There's a crack there. We'll just redo that one while we're at it. Because these ones on the edge here, they're there to stop the connector from torquing back and forth when it's being plugged into and so forth. More on the other side over here. Yeah, that one could be looked at too. I think that one's okay. Now we'll just take a look at the actual connector. Okay, we're going to clean up the board, and then I'm going to put it back in and see whether that fixes this unit. And then maybe I'll put this into service. I got a system in there now that's working, but this one may have a few more features that mine doesn't have, so we'll clean this off. If we look at this board's been recapped, you see? At some point, these were all surface mounted capacitors at one point. These were all changed. All these little bypass caps in here have been reworked. So someone's worked on this board before and changed the ones that go bad. These ones here obviously haven't been changed, but looks like there's been a few. What, about 12 of them, I guess? What? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about 13, 14 of them. 14 have been changed on this side, and there's been a couple on this side have been changed out. So this board's been reworked at some point in the past, and now it's been reworked again for a bad HDMI connector. Let's put it back together and see if it works. Check this out. It's got a couple little fans on the bottom of the chassis that blow up through the heatsink. Neat, huh? I've always liked Onkyo stuff, except for the ones that had the bad DSPs. They were a piece of shit. But other ones actually haven't been too bad. The board goes back in. Line up the component plugs on the back. Component in, or not the component, sorry, the digital audio, the coaxial digital audio. Gotta line those up, and then I gotta line up the plugs here on this board. And it should just slide into place. Nope, not quite lined up there just yet. But once I get it lined up, it should just pop in. just like that. We'll line up this like that. Plug that one in. Try not to break it while I'm doing it. Okay, plugged in. There are certain screws for certain things. They're different length. I think those are the ones that I need. One here that holds the boards together. I was out doing a little bit of shopping earlier today. We're under a mask mandate now, that masks have to be worn in all indoor spaces. And I was in a store and some clown walked in not wearing a mask. One of the store clerks immediately asked them to put on a mask, and the guy just ignored them. I stopped, left my shopping cart full of groceries sitting in the aisle and walked out. The store lost the sale. I can't believe some people are so bloody ignorant. Okay, let's hook this thing back up. Video in and HDMI out. Let's see if I get a picture on my TV. Well, I've got the menu. That's a good sign. Let's select our HDMI input and assign things here. Let's see here. Cable sat is on, DVDs on 3, cable sat's on 1. So let's just plug. Yeah, I'm plugged into 1 now, I think. Return. I think I'm on 1.
Melody Rayburn and her
Haha, got a picture. If I move the connector, does it cut out? No, it doesn't. I'm wiggling the connector around. Problem is solved. I wiggle the connector around. Nothing's cutting out. They're just talking about right now what I just experienced at the Walmart today. When I went into the Walmart and somebody came in without a mask. So there we go. Fix this one. I like it. I'm going to use this as my new amp. I can't wait. Because the one I've got, I'm actually going to put this in service sooner than later, because the one that I've got right now doesn't have the features that this one has. This one has 3 HDMI inputs. I think it will also, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it will upscale. So let's try it and see if it does. This is why this one's going to go into my setup real soon, because it has component and composite input, and it sends it out on HDMI. Yes! exactly like my other one that has the bad DSP, but this one doesn't have a bad DSP. Happy days are here again. I can actually reconnect my system the way that it used to be so that I can enjoy my laser disc, which is an analog component or composite output, my DVD recorder, which has a component output, my Betamax, and my VHS, Super VHS machine. I can actually set up my system again the way it was set up, as opposed to the way it has been running for the past year or so since my other one packed it in. I did a video when I heated the IC up, and that lasted for a while, but it started acting up again. So I took it out of service and I found another used Onkyo that I got for I think 40 bucks, and I put that one in service, and I've been using that ever since. But the problem is it doesn't upscale anything from analog, so I've kind of been limited to watching content from my cable box, which outputs HDMI. If I wanted to connect one of my other devices, I basically had to RF modulate it at standard definition resolution and send it over to my TV over a coaxial line, because the way that my system is set up, I have all my equipment sits in a closet. My amplifier, all my equipment sits in an equipment closet on a stand, and everything was switched through the receiver. I have one HDMI. It actually doesn't even HDMI, doesn't even go to the TV. HDMI goes into a Balun, which puts it onto a Cat5 run, which runs to the TV, and then there's another Balun at the TV that converts it back to HDMI for the monitor, because it's a long run. It's around 60 feet by cable from where the amplifier is. Amplifier sits under my stairs in the middle of the house, and my media room is in the back of the house. So I set the system up with everything switching through the amplifier, so you can imagine how ticked off I was when the amplifier packed it in, and yeah, wasn't going to be repairable easily without changing that DSP, which I'm not going to be doing a BGA chip. So I found another one, which I've been using for the past year or so, and then someone gave me this one broken, and they said, yeah, you can have it. Now we've got the HDMI port working. I can put this one back in service and use it myself. Anyway, there we go. Fixed HDMI port. This was a, what the heck did I say this model on this one was? It's a TX-SR705. That's how you fix these things. That microscope actually made it pretty easy. Thanks for watching.